Hey, thank you so much for joining me. All right, we're going to get right into it. So, one of the topics that's not on the top of the shelf list right now, well, I guess it is now because of what happened in Kansas. What happened in Kansas brings it all back to light, right? Because what I'm talking about is Roe versus Wade. Now, I'm trying to allow some people to get in here before we get right into the meat of this. But what happened in Kansas brought it all back to the surface. Joe Brandon went out today and did a second executive order to undermine the U.S. Supreme Court, a second executive order. And on top of that, you have all of the mainstream media, the liberal left, they're all saying that the Supreme Court violated the Constitution. They're saying that. They're saying the Supreme Court violated the Constitution by taking out a constitutional amendment, saying something that was in the Constitution, been in there for 50 years is what they're saying. But the Supreme Court didn't remove anything from the Constitution. The only thing the Supreme Court did was put the country back to the Constitution, saying that the states get to allow and make the decision on whether or not they want to take the life of a child in the womb. And that's what happened in Kentucky. And Kentucky is a red state. Kentucky being a red state, and they voted for it. And right now they're all excited about it. They're all jumping down with joy, saying, look at this. So if that was the case, then why are they so concerned if all the states in the country are going to vote for taking the life of the unborn child? Why are they so concerned? Well, they're concerned because they feel like they're losing power. They'll feel like they're losing control over you. And they say that they're fighting for women's rights when they're not actually fighting for women's rights. Again, because if they were fighting for women's rights, then women would come first when it comes to a man putting on a dress and lipstick, trying to act like a woman. When it comes to that, the women get a back burner. They get pushed to the back when it comes to that. Why is that? And you know what? You're supposed to believe that, hey, this is the new woman. They have more rights than you. They have rights that you don't need. And then if you try to talk about them and talk against them, then they say, oh, you're bad. Now, again, I have to be very clear. If you're an adult and you want to go out and dress a certain way, then by all means, do your thing. I'm not going to come to your door and I'm not going to get involved with you. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that, hey, you don't need to be doing this. You don't need me to tell you. All right, so let me get to this first one here because, of course, I do have some stuff I want to share with you. And hopefully they'll leave me alone tonight. Last night they kind of did some stuff to me. But anyways, listen to this one here. And she's literally lying because there's never been any verbiage in the U.S. Constitution saying that abortion is a constitutional right. If that was the case, then the Supreme Court wouldn't say it can go back to the states. But, of course, they lie. They're so accustomed to lying, and they want you to believe all of the lies.
From day one, when the Supreme Court made this extreme decision to take away a constitutional right, it was an unconstitutional action by them, a right that was around for...
You hear that? It was an unconstitutional action by the Supreme Court, the third branch of the federal government. They said it was an unconstitutional act by them putting the power back to the people, back to the states. That's not an unconstitutional act. Where's she getting this information from? It doesn't take anybody, you don't have to go through years and years of politics to understand what they've just done. It's not, let me listen to this again. Listen to what she says that the Supreme Court has just done.
It was an unconstitutional action by them, a right that was around for almost 50 years, a right that women had to make a decision on their bodies and how they want to start their families.
You hear this? It's not the Supreme Court did not violate the Constitution, and that's essentially what she's saying. And so with this kind of rhetoric, with that type of rhetoric, and that's exact example of rhetoric. With that type of rhetoric, what do? You get people showing up to the Supreme Court justice's home and they're protesting. Right? They're protesting, and you even have someone driving all the way from California to Kavanaugh Justice Kavanaugh's home to bound him, to gag him, to torture him, and then essentially murder him. And what does the liberal left say about it? Oh, no, this is just peaceful protesting. They don't say anything. Can you imagine if that were to happen to one of their Democrats? They would say, oh, my goodness, these right-wingers, these mega Republicans, they're trying to destroy, they're trying to take our lives. But see, when it's the other way around, it's completely fine. Ted Cruz in the news. You remember I told y'all before when Ted Cruz sided with the left? You remember about a certain day in 2021? You remember January? He sided with the left, and then it backfired on him. Even he went on Tucker. Y'all remember me saying that? For those of you that never said that, Ted Cruz went on and he was siding with these evil leftists, and he had to go on Tucker Carlson to try to redeem himself, and Tucker Carlson didn't let him do it. I told everybody that this is going to work to our advantage. This is going to get Ted Cruz to come out hitting hard. And you know what? I was right. Ted Cruz has been hitting hard ever since. And of course, again, here's Ted Cruz hitting hard about the Democrats being able to go to the Supreme Court justices' home and terrorize them, and no one gets arrested except for one person. Get hundreds of people out there protesting, but only one person get arrested. And I'm guessing that's the only person got arrested was the person who got caught trying to kill Brett Kavanaugh. But listen to this, and hit the share button while you're at it.
I am highly concerned that this Department of Justice is politicizing the enforcement of justice. You've discussed how there is a priority focused on elections, and I recognize that there is a political focus on that, although, as you've told this committee, out of 1,000 complaints, it produced a total of 5 prosecutions, none of which involved violence, and all of the 5 were based on threats. Serious threats of violence should be investigated and should be prosecuted. However, in the weeks after the Dobbs opinion was leaked, pregnancy centers in Portland, Oregon, Manassas, Virginia, Austin, Texas, and Frederick, Maryland were targeted and vandalized. Violent extremist group Jane's Revenge took credit for fire bombings of crisis pregnancy centers in Madison, Wisconsin, in Amherst, New York, in Buffalo, New York, in Des Moines, Iowa, and in Gresham, Oregon. More recently, centers in North Carolina and in Washington, D.C., just 500 yards from where you're sitting right now, were covered with red paint, were egged, and were graffitied by pro-abortion radicals. As of July 22nd, there have been at least 82 violent attacks against pro-life institutions, including churches and crisis pregnancy centers.
And what does the left say about all of this? Nothing, because this is what they want. Because they listen and they follow the orders of their father Satan. All of these evil people attacking birth clinics that want to help mothers birth their children, they're literally attacking them because they want to kill them. This is happening, and the left, they don't say nothing about it. It's like they're happy. They're happy that this is happening. They want more of it. I constantly say that these evil people, they want more violence.
Despite these very real threats and violent attacks against pregnancy centers, DOJ instead on July 12th set up a special, quote, reproductive rights task force, not to protect pregnancy centers, but instead to advocate the political agenda of this administration of expanding unlimited abortion on demand.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So it's almost like they have militarized, and they have militarized the federal government against the American people. That's what's happening here. And we have politicians, we have Senator Ted Cruz, we have other senators, Republicans, but they don't care. They're doing this, the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, they're all against the American people. And this is happening in the year 2022. This is the reason why I get so worked up about this, because these organizations are supposed to protect the American people. But it's like they became so corrupt that they're doing the bidding of the Democrat Party. Listen to this interaction here.
Let me ask you a different question.
Yes, Senator.
Simultaneously, while violent terrorists are threatening pregnancy centers, we also have had protesters at the homes of Supreme Court justices night after night after night. Now, I believe protesting at someone's home, where your spouse sleeps, where your children sleeps, is inherently threatening. It is designed to be threatening. And we know the violent rhetoric with the encouragement of Democratic members of Congress resulted in at least one deranged individual traveling from California to Maryland to attempt to murder Justice Kavanaugh. Now, as it so happens, Congress has addressed this issue. It's passed 18 U.S.C. Section 1507, making it a crime to protest at the home of a Supreme Court justice while a case is pending. Night after night after night, these protesters committed federal crimes on national television. Why has the Department of Justice refused to enforce 18 U.S.C. Section 1507?
You know, that's a really good question. And I know the answer, because demons will protect demons. We see that through and through. Demons will protect demons. Now listen to the response here, because he's going to try to deflect and try to act like, no, that's not the case. Well, of course, we're upholding the law when they're actually not doing it. Have y'all not seen the videos of them out there protesting the Supreme Court justice's home because they can't kill the unborn child? Have y'all not seen them? I've seen them. They're all over Twitter. They're all over social media. But they want us to believe that it's not even happening. Look.
Senator, very recently, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland, in fact, has prosecuted a defendant for unlawful conduct in front of the home of one of our Supreme Court justices.
So one person?
To date, there has been one prosecution.
And what about the hundreds of others? All of whom have violated the law. On the face of it, it's not complicated. The law is very clear. Why does the Department of Justice pick and choose which laws to enforce, which criminal laws to enforce, and why does it seem to exactly follow the pattern of the partisan preferences of the Biden White House?
That's exactly what it is. Because the Biden White House has sent down the order to not arrest. I mean, come on, think about this, everybody. If they're not going to arrest illegals, criminals, even terrorists coming across our southern border, do you think that they would put the memo out there not to arrest these people for going against something that they want? I mean, it's really a no-brainer here. I think Ted Cruz knows the answer, right? He knows the answer. He just wants to get them on record for saying it. He has to know the answer, because they're not arresting people on the southern border. When they, even though they're terrorists, known terrorists on the terrorist watch list, they're letting them go. Like, here, it's just fine. Just go. Do what you got to do. Because they want chaos. And I keep telling everybody, y'all got to prepare. And it's not even just preparing with food. Y'all need to prepare for this chaos that the Democrat Party wants to bring onto us. And the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. The closer we get to November, the closer, the more I pray that I'm wrong. But the closer we get to the end of this year, the more these evil people are going to act like tyrants, and they're going to cause more chaos. Listen.
Again, Senator, politics should play and does not play any role in our prosecutorial decisions. What I will also add is that our Attorney General has increased the U.S. Marshal Service's resources that are brought to bear to protect our Supreme Court
under Section 1507. Why have there not been any others?
Senator,
does the department believe the law is unconstitutional? And if not, why are you refusing to enforce it?
Exactly. Why are they refusing to enforce it? Again, I mean, see, I wish I could say, I forget exactly how to say it. Can I butt in for a second and ask about, and ask Senator Ted Cruz? They're doing this on the border. They're letting criminals go. They're not arresting them because they've already got the order not to arrest them. You think it's the same thing happening here? And he can say, okay, I reclaim my time. You know how it goes. But seriously, why are they not enforcing the law when we all clearly see that these people have been breaking the law and nothing's happened?
Respectfully, Senator, I disagree that we've chosen not to enforce it.
And you see how he laughed? Did y'all see the smirk on? Let me take it back just a little bit. Look at the smirk on his face, because that's exactly what they're doing.
Respectfully, Senator, I disagree that we've chosen not to enforce it. Again, there's been one prosecution of a
Out of
defendant.
hundreds. What about the rest of the hundreds?
Senator, again, I cannot comment on the current status of potential investigations in this area.
Final question, was the one prosecution you referenced a 1507 prosecution, or was it something else?
I don't believe it was under that statute.
So you haven't brought a single one?
Again, I believe the conduct itself was the focus of the prosecution that you're
Well,
raising.
I think you need to follow the law.
Wow. And you know what? It's double standards. It's 100% double standards. So we have to comply to all of the laws. And that's those of us that love America, love freedom, because they'll put us in jail. They'll even put us in jail for something that we didn't even do. They'll put us in jail because they don't like us. They do everything to us. They'll find, or if they don't put you in the jail, they'll find out where you work to get you fired from your job. How many of you are okay with this? How many of you okay? How many of you are like, well, I know I'm a Trump supporter and I'm not going to say anything because I know they'll come after me and I know I can lose my job. How many of you right now today are in that position still? It's still happening. And I'm just wondering how many of you are in that position today? Because we all know that this evil left, that they're so evil, if you don't go along with the lie, with every single lie that they tell you, like a man being a woman, if you do not go along with the lie, they will come after you. They will do everything they can to hurt you, to harm you, to destroy you. Let me give you another example about how they've been lying to all of us. Every last one of us, they've been lying. You know, they come out and they say that the jobs, you know, they created more jobs in history, ever in history. We've created more jobs than any other time in the history of this nation, which is a total lie. I've been saying it's a lie. I've been saying, if anything, it needs to go down in history that they have the most returns in jobs. Most people returning to work. That's what it should be. But them creating jobs has never taken place. Listen to this report about the jobs here in the United States of America.
As far as the jobs number goes, everyone talks about how great the labor market is. The fact of the matter is we still have less people employed now than we did at the end of 2019. And when you account for labor force growth, that puts us down over 3 million jobs from where we would be had it not been the government's reaction to COVID.
Wow. You hear this? We're down 3 million jobs. 3 million. 3 million. Right? And we're supposed to act like, oh, they created all these jobs, which they actually have lied to everybody. And I can't imagine that anyone's actually believing the lies that's coming out from them. I really don't. Okay. Let's get on to what happened in Arizona. Arizona. You know, last night when I was looking at it, Arizona, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, that I was wondering how, you know, like Mike Pence won. Because they kept talking, you know, even on the liberal media, they kept saying this is between Mike Pence and President Trump. Mike Pence and President Trump. They kept saying it. Well, they don't say president. They kept saying Mike Pence and Trump. This is a battle between them. This is a race between Mike Pence and Trump. That's what they kept saying, even on the liberal media. They kept saying it. And when I went to bed last night, I was looking at Arizona because I really like Carrie Lake. I really like her a lot. And it's not the fact that, you know, what I like about her is because she's a strong woman. She says what's on her mind. She's not afraid of the lying liberal media. She stands up for America. She wants to do the right thing by the people in Arizona. I can see someone like her possibly one day running for president. I mean, I can. I'm just telling you. I love watching a movie when they have these strong women characters in it. And I've said this multiple times before. When they're going through and they beating up the guys and flipping them up and they doing all this stuff. I like those type of movies. I do. I enjoy them. But in the real world, you have a strong woman like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Carrie Lake. The left, they hate it. They can't stand it. I mean, how dare this? And then they want to act like they're champion of women. I mean, come on. I mean, really? Really? Listen to this. This was out of Pennsylvania where they were asked a question about men participating in sports with women, with girls, children, little girls. Listen, all the way up to the college age. Listen, it's really short.
Do you believe transgender women should be allowed to play on women's sports teams at the youth through college level?
Yes.
Do you believe transgender women should be allowed to play on women's sports teams at the youth through college level?
Yes.
I mean, come on. And the guy that's answering it is right here. It's this guy right there. He's a big burly dude. He's a Democrat. I mean, stands maybe like 6'3" or something like that. Really tall dude, big dude. And so imagine him putting on a skirt and lipstick and want to compete against females. See, this is how sick these people are. So what happened to women's rights? And see, that's for that to even be one of the questions to come up during their stinking debates says a lot about the Democrat Party. Says a lot. Now, let me share something else with you. Now, let me do a disclaimer here, because last night they penalized me for doing commentary on what the left is saying. And I'm just doing commentary. I don't take any claim to any of the clips. All the clips that I'm sharing with you, they're out there freely available to everybody to go watch and view. I'm just doing commentary on it. This past Sunday, they had the Eunuch, coined by Tucker Carlson, where Brian Stelter had some people in there, and they were literally saying that President Trump is no longer interesting. Y'all hear me? They literally said that this Sunday, said that President Trump was no longer interesting. How many of y'all think that President Trump is no longer interesting? How many of y'all think that no one wants to pay attention to President Trump? And this comes on the heels because Fox News refused to play any speech from President Trump when he was in D.C. They refused to play it. But they did play Mike Pence. So what does that mean? Does that mean Fox News is endorsing Mike Pence? I'm not talking about Tucker, right? But does it seem like Fox News is endorsing Mike Pence, but they're rejecting President Trump? Listen to what they say here.
Page story in the New York Times, also a big story in the Washington Post this weekend. Both papers highlighting Fox News and Donald Trump, saying, look, the Murdochs have been aligned with Trump for a while. They had a mutually beneficial relationship, but that's changing. They are pointing out that Fox News did not even show Donald Trump's big return to D.C. speech live this week. I counted 17 minutes of Mike Pence's speech, 0 minutes of Donald Trump's speech. And when I called a source at Fox, they said, yeah, that's not a coincidence.
My question is, for everyone that's listening right now and watching, who's the source that Brian Stelter has at Fox News? Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Who's the source? I want to know who's he talking to at Fox News. Listen real quick, then I'm going to let it play because y'all need to hear how they're saying that President Trump is no longer interesting. Listen to this.
0 minutes of Donald Trump's speech. And when I called a source at Fox, they said, yeah, that's not a coincidence. There's something going on here. What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that Fox will ever explicitly come out against Donald Trump. But what they can do is they can dim the spotlight that they have put on him over the years. And they can.
So why would Fox News dim the spotlight on President Trump? You hear this?
Shine the spotlight a little brighter on other candidates like Ron DeSantis. And I think that's what you're seeing them do. Now, does this mean that forever Fox is going to be against Trump or pushing other candidates? Not necessarily, but right now they are seeming to give the former president the cold shoulder.
Liz, what do you make of that change of events?
Yeah, well, Donald.
Now listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this person. And listen to what she says.
Donald Trump isn't as entertaining as he was in 2015 or 2016.
You hear this? President Trump. She's saying President Trump is no longer entertaining. Listen, I'm gonna try not to stop it. I can't help it. Listen.
Yeah, well, Donald Trump isn't as entertaining as he was in 2015 or 2016, right? I mean, in 2015, 2016, and for quite a bit beyond that, whether you loved him or hated him, and I was definitely on the hate side of that equation.
I mean, what makes us think that she's no longer on the hate side of the equation? She hated him then. So how was he not interesting, right? She always hated him. Of course, he's not going to be interesting to you because your demons don't like him. Listen.
He was kind of like the car crash on the side of the road that you couldn't take your eyes off of, right? Now that's just not the case anymore. He's just not very interesting to anybody. I think whether you're talking about progressives, conservatives, libertarians like me, I think people like Ron DeSantis are infinitely more interesting. And so
you hear this? So you hear what she's saying. And at the same time, I'll take it back again. At the same time, the Communist News Network is showing the thousands and thousands of people that's showing up to hear President Trump speak. The thousands upon the tens of thousands of people showing up. but he's not interesting. And she even goes on to say that, conservatives don't find him interesting any longer. Like he's a car wreck on the side of the road that everyone just used to look at. These people are completely stupid that they can't even recognize what's right in front of their face.
That you couldn't take your eyes off of, right? Now that's just not the case anymore. He's just not very interesting to anybody. I think whether you're talking about progressives, conservatives, libertarians like me, I think people like Ron DeSantis are infinitely more interesting. And so that's a judgment call that I think Fox naturally is going to make.
I would disagree. I think that the Donald Trump show is still a car crash. It's just that it's a very expensive one to cover, as Fox News has.
It's just a very expensive one, right? I mean, these people do not want to recognize the truth. And let me just get to this next one here. Because I just showed you from Sunday how they were all saying that no one finds President Trump interesting. So this is not going to change anything. What's going to happen in Arizona. Mike Pence is probably going to come out on top is what they're alluding to, because no one finds President Trump interesting. But well, guess what? Arizona was a sweep. President Trump, they got rid of rhinos in Arizona. How positive is that? I mean, this is so great. And because they got rid of rhinos in Arizona, the Democrats are like in an uproar right now. They're like, oh my goodness, what do we do? But you know what? The Democrats kind of did this themselves. The Democrats kind of did this because they were actually pouring money into MAGA Republicans against the establishment rhinos. And this is exactly what it is. But now it's like maybe they're looking at it and say, well, maybe this is not good because of the numbers. They're all looking at the numbers like the numbers are not what they expected them to be. Listen, watch this.
What's your reaction to the fact that Trump still has this grip over the party?
You see, they can't grasp the concept. They don't understand. And it's not even that Trump has the grip on the Republican Party. It's the fact that when President Trump was in office, America was beautiful, people. It was great for black people, white people, brown people, Asian people. It was beautiful. It was absolutely wonderful. I mean, it was the way things were just booming. He had the economy just bam, bam, bam. And everyone was taking advantage of it. And they can't grasp their mind around it. They can't wrap their minds. How is this even possible?
Well, look, it appears that Trump is going to go 4 for 4 in Arizona in those 4 statewide races. So what he's done is he certainly has control of the Arizona GOP. The real question is, how do these candidates do in the fall? I mean, winning a nomination is one thing. Winning an election is quite another. And what we're finding with too many of these Republican candidates that are seen by the public as too extreme and making themselves unelectable. And believe me, Republican leadership in the House and the Senate is very aware of some of these Trump candidates.
So he goes on to say that like Mitch McConnell, right, is really upset that these MAGA Republicans are winning these elections. They're saying he's upset because they said this is not going to be good for the Republican Party. This is what they're saying. Mitch McConnell, again, some people love him. Some people hate him. Me personally, I say Mitch McConnell is a rhino through and through. He's straight up a rhino if you ask me. I actually had another one I wanted to show you here, if I can find it, where it's talking about the left here. Here, give me 1 second. And I have a treat for you too. Well, it's not necessarily a treat. It's just more corruption that they're doing, and I want to share it with you. I guess it's a treat. It exposes how evil they are. All right, let me see. There's another one that I wanted to show you if I can find it here. Where is it at? Where you at? I do apologize. I was kind of hoping. I think, is this it here? Come on. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. The one I want to show you one that had Adam Kissinger in it, and what Adam Kissinger says about the Democrat Party. and I think it's worth showing it. I think people need to see it. That's if I find it. That's if I can find it here. I might not be able to find it. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. It's kind of disappointing. Oh, it was really good. It's really good. Okay, maybe if my producer finds it for me, then I'll show it to you. Okay, but let me move on to this one here. Nancy Pelosi. You know, Nancy Pelosi went over to Taiwan, right? And China. Have y'all heard anything from China yet? I mean, it looks like China's weak. Can I say that? Can I say that on the Chinese platforms like this? Weak. China's weak. China put out the threat and they didn't do anything. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is with Nancy Pelosi's husband. Y'all have heard about this, right? And the reason why it's a major deal is because of the corruption level. The corruption is so big when it comes to Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats that they don't even hide it. It's right plain sight in our face. And guess what? Just like they do it and they say there's nothing you can do about it. And they're like, this is perfectly fine. So what happened is Nancy Pelosi's husband was in a car accident because he was drinking and driving. Not only did he give his driver license, but he gave a donor's card to the police officer saying, hey, I'm a donor to the California Police Department. Hey, let's make this go away. I'll donate some more money. Well, the person that was in the accident with him, he actually injured the person severely, pretty bad. And they just tried to brush it away, make it all go away. I saw this report that was on Fox News, of course, when they're talking about what happened. And you know what? It's just really convenient that he wasn't in the country when it came to the court date. But listen what they did to the judge. Listen to what they did to the judge. All right, let me play it.
Entirely different picture than what we've been told happened that night. And we were right. There were a series of injuries involved, serious ones. Both cars were totaled. There were drugs involved, not just alcohol. And Paul did hand cop something that wasn't his driver's license. And just today, on the eve of the hearing, the judge has been replaced in a blatantly corrupt move. Wait until you hear about this new judge. Let's go through this step by step. Remember, they refused to hand over the mugshot and the body cam footage? Well, we know why. Court documents now show Papa Paulie P was absolutely plastered. And that, quote, his eyes appeared red and watery, he was unsteady on his feet, his speech was slurred, and he had a strong odor of alcoholic beverage emanating from his breath. But it wasn't just a little Chardonnay Paulie was sipping on that night. The report goes on to say that Pelosi was under the influence of an alcoholic beverage and a drug. And he failed several field sobriety tests, miserably. This report has shed some light onto the injuries of the victim as well. These injuries were much more severe than we were told. Originally, they said there were no injuries. And then it was, oh, no, these injuries aren't that serious. Well, the victim has reported the day after the collision, quote, pain to his upper right arm, right shoulder, and neck. It was also difficult to lift things with his right arm, and he was suffering from headaches and from fatigue, and is being treated by a physician. Remember, District Attorney Allison Haley, hey, Allie, her entire justification for charging Paulie with a misdemeanor instead of a felony is that the injuries, she said, were not serious. Now we know they are serious.
And this is a little lengthy, but I have to play this because he lays it all out here. And it's the corruption. Just look at this. The corruption is right in our face. And they're not even hiding the corruption.
Primetime sort of sarcastically speculated that Paulie P., remember, tried to bribe law enforcement with like cash or whatever after the crash. But we weren't that far off. When asked to hand over his driver's license, instead, Papa Paulie P. fumbled around and then handed them a donor card specifically for the California Highway Patrol. In other words, implying, hey, guys, I'm a donor, and I can be an even bigger donor if we can, work this out. Was Pelosi so drunk he thought the donor card was his driver's license, or was he trying to grease the cops? We don't know. And just so
I would say he's probably trying to grease the cops.
So this California Highway Fund accepts donations in stocks. Seriously. Which is a coincidence because Paul has a few shares he's trying to unload. The timing's actually perfect for tax purposes, of course. Now, this is the type of information we'd expect to learn in the defendant's court hearing. But you will not hear any of this tomorrow. Why? They have banned all cameras from the courtroom. And they've prohibited recordings of the live feed that goes out. But that's just where the cover-up begins. Are you ready? Because what also happened today, the night before the hearing, the presiding judge has mysteriously stepped down. And a new judge has been quickly installed. So, who's this new judge? You're not going to believe this. Her name is Monique Langhorne. And she's a registered Democrat whose previous job, are you ready? She used to work for the Napa County DA's office. Does Judge Langhorne have any experience in criminal cases? No. This would be her first. And it gets better. Guess who donated to this judge's campaign? The assistant DA who's going to be prosecuting the case tomorrow. And our friend Allie, the DA, Allison Haley. Hey, Allie. What? She's very well connected. She was appointed to a special advisory board by Gavin Newsom, too. So, I mean, this is totally deck stacking, if I've ever seen it. How can we expect a fair trial here when the judge and the prosecutors are all politically on the same side as the defendant, financially connected? There's a family connection we've told you about, too.
Wow. I mean, and it's like we know that it's happening and we know that they're doing, and it's like nothing can be done about it, right? Oh, it's just, it's normal. This is what they do. The rich, the powerful, they can do all of this because this is who they are, and they can just get away with it and just do whatever it is that they want to do. And on top of that, y'all remember when the reports came out, I don't know if y'all heard about this, but the reports came out about the IRS buying bullets, and people were asking why in the world is the IRS buying bullets? What do they have? I mean, what is this? Should we expect IRS agents to start going to people's homes armed? I mean, it's really a good question, right? Well, listen to this interaction here, and Ted Cruz actually let the cat out the bag what they're doing. This is really disturbing. And again, this comes on the heels of a tyrannical government. A tyrannical government attacking the American people.
It is a terrible bill. There are many aspects of it that are terrible, but one of the ones you just asked about, this bill funds 87,000 new IRS agents. Imagine IRS agents descending upon America like a swarm of locusts. And by the way, these IRS agents aren't there to go after billionaires. They're there to go after you. They're there to go.
See, exactly. They're there to go after the American people, or those who support America, those who love America, those they found out that they voted for President Trump. They did this before on their deal. Remember when VP Biden, they did it then. And so it looked like they're going to do it again. And what happened? So they weaponized the IRS against the American people, and the American people it's like we can't do nothing about it.
They're there to go after you. They're there to go after your small business. They're there to go after your family. The Democrats' idea is if they audit the hell out of every American, think of all the money they can raise. Now, I got to say, as I've traveled Texas, as I've traveled the country, I've heard the people yearning for a lot of things. in America, I've never once heard someone say, what we need is more IRS agents. I mean, this is big government run amok. And if you don't want to be audited next year and the year after and the year after, and by the way, if you're a Republican donor, this corrupt administration will audit you next year and the year after and the year after, we ought to kill this terrible, terrible bill.
It's the same thing they did when Obama was in office the first time. Oh, did I say that? Yes, they did it before. So again, why wouldn't they do it again? They've already done it once and got away with it. Nothing ever happened. Nothing ever came of it. So why wouldn't they do it again? You know, it's just, is this the America that you thought we would have when we got to this point in the year 2022? I know when I was younger, I used to think that we would have flying cars by now. You know, and I would think that we wouldn't have all this stupidity going on. I didn't even realize about the stupidity of the left at that time. At that time, I was a lot younger. I was a kid. I was thinking about, man, that'd be cool to have a flying car or see them flying around, and, just think about that. America wouldn't be confused about what a woman is. That never ran across my mind. Not a single time did it run across my mind, but yet here we are. Here we are. And if I can, let me repeat this one more time about them changing the definition. And really, it dawned on me, and maybe all of you have saw this before because, all of my viewers, you're a lot smarter than I am. Maybe y'all recognized it, that the definition of everything that they don't like, they changed the definition. And if you really think back, they've changed the definition on every single thing that they wanted to control. To give an example, for example, women, right? They changed the definition of what it is to be a woman. They can't even tell you the definition of a woman because they want to change the definition of a woman. Same thing like right now, and it really came to light, and I noticed all of it. It just smacked me that they changed the definition of everything when Google changed the definition of a recession. One day they had it on there, and I should have taken a screenshot, but I did take a screenshot the day after, and it says it was updated one day later. It had been 1 day since they updated. So they literally went on there and they changed the definition of a recession. Then I got to thinking, they changed the definition on everything. They changed the definition of what the Republican Party is. Right? The Republican Party was created to help black people so black people can have representation so black and white people can work together in legislation. But they changed the definition of the Republican Party. They said the Republican Party are nothing but rich old white men, which is not true. The only thing that I really liked about the Republican Party that's changed now is because now it is the MAGA Republican Party. So there's no need to create another party. Just fix the one that we already have. And that's exactly what happened, especially last night in Arizona. I mentioned it again. A sweep. Yes, a sweep. A clear sweep across the board. So the Democrats are kind of contemplating right now, do we continue to pour millions of dollars into these mega Republicans? Because that's what they've done. They've done it in various states. And I can't find a video where Adam Kinzinger is actually complaining about it. He's upset with the Democrats because they've actually poured money into the Republican Party. And I so want to show that to you. And I'm like, I don't know why I can't find that clip now. It's like eating me alive. I really want to show it to you. And for the life of me, I cannot find it. And I do apologize. Y'all going to have to forgive me. You're going to have to forgive me. Or maybe it was... No. I'm really trying here. I really am. I don't know why. And I don't know why, what happened to it. All right, well, I'm going to have to move on. I'll have to move on. I just knew I had it. Okay, well, I apologize. Well, hey, I want to thank all of y'all for not being afraid to hit that share button. I want to thank all of you so much for the support. If I can, let me say thank you to a couple of people before I go out. Oh, let me give you, I got an announcement. I'm going to CPAC. Okay. And this, for some reason, I don't know what changed, but all of a sudden they gave me a press pass. So I have a press pass and I'm going to CPAC. So I'll be traveling. I'm driving to CPAC. So I'm not flying from Austin to Dallas. It's in Dallas. I'm not flying there. So I will be in CPAC. So please, if you haven't already, my plan is when I go live, I'll go live on the platforms, all the platforms that I'm on now. I'm going to try to go live on all of them as much as possible. So be on the lookout. And if you haven't already, please like, follow, and subscribe. Please like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you ring my bell on YouTube. And make sure, for everyone on Rumble, make sure you tune in because I'm going to be on Rumble as well. Rumble haven't done the notifications yet. But if you need to make sure your email is coming through for Rumble, that's the only way the notifications are coming through as of right now, unless they changed it earlier today. I don't know. But I will be live. I plan on being live on Getter as well. And, of course, on Facebook and YouTube. So like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you turn your notifications on because I plan on talking to some really good people. I have a press pass, so I should have some access. So I want to thank everyone for your support. Thank you so much for helping me to get to the event and be able to, because I need to have some place to lay my head in the end of the day. All right, let's go. Let me say thank you to a few people before we bounce out of here. If I can, let's say thank you to Kim. Thank you so much, Kim, for the stars. These are Facebook stars. Laurel, thank you so much for the stars as well. And Midred, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Midred, I used to see her all the time on Cash App. Thank you so much. Dana, thank you so much for the stars. Diana, sorry. And Ivy, thank you so much for the stars. And Janet, thank you so much for the stars as well. And Antoinette, is that right? Thank you so much for the stars. Jordan, thank you for the stars. I've seen Jordan and Antoinette quite often on here. Vincent, thank you so much for the stars. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. I guess that's it. All right. No. Cheryl, thank you so much for the stars. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay. I guess that was the last one. All right, everybody. UniteAmericaFirst.com. UniteAmericaFirst.com. Please sign up for the newsletter. Subscribe to my podcast. You can go to my website, UniteAmericaFirst.com, and just scroll down a little bit. You'll see the podcast. Subscribe to it. It's free. Please subscribe to my podcast or just sign up for the newsletter and get the link to this podcast in the newsletter. All right, everybody. God bless. Thank you so much. Take care. See you on the flip side. Reality check.